is on. Of course, I think it would end today, and then there's a breather tomorrow for Thursday. Thursday's debate to continue. In the meantime, I've got about 50 minutes to go, and I did promise you yesterday that I would be having the spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party (PDP) join us today on the show as we assess some of the matters arising. Welcome to the show. My name is Maryann Okon. We're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. You could join the conversation if you're listening to us from the diaspora. You're watching us live on WhatsApp. You could call us and be part of the conversation. 0809597585. All right, so let's talk about the most important political and diplomatic issue at hand. Of course, everyone's talking about the issue of insecurity, but the diplomacy part of things has come to play right after Mr. President, the presidency, put out that list of maybe the first batch of appointees who would become ambassadors, and that had stirred a lot of reactions from both opposition, even Nigerians in general. Now, after 2 years, or almost 2 years, of empty embassies and unfilled democratic or diplomatic posts, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has finally released the first batch of 35 ambassadorial nominees. Instead of providing clarity to the people, because a lot of people have been asking, why don't we have ambassadors? Who's talking about our foreign policy? Who's speaking on our behalf? Well, this has actually not brought any form of clarity. Instead, we're getting all kinds of reactions, from questions about the merits of these people who have made the list, their competence, deeper concerns about political loyalty being placed above national interest. In fact, the People's Democratic Party seem to be top on that list, asking questions and even calling that list names. Well, my guest is going to be talking to us more about why they feel the way they feel. My guest is the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, and he joins us live via Zoom. His name is EmeObong. It's so good to have you join us, Mr. EmeObong. I know that I dragged you out of a meeting to join us, but it's matters of national interest. So, of course, what would 45 minutes mean to you? Welcome to the show. Can you hear me?
Glad to be here, Mimi.
Oh my goodness! I think the internet on your end is a bit, is dragging a bit. I'm really praying that the internet allows you to talk to us. Let's try that again. Can you just say hello? I think your internet is dragging.
It looks fine from this end.
Okay, if it feels better now. So let's go straight into it because we don't have too much time. Let's start by looking at it from an opposition perspective. You put out a statement earlier this week reacting to that ambassadorial nominee list. As an opposition party observing from outside of government, what does the PDP believe should be the core criteria for selecting people that would be representing us outside of the country? I mean, because you had some very choice words in that press statement about the people who made that list.
Okay, this is hoping that you can hear me loud and clear now.
I can.
So, first, that the title ambassador carries with it a responsibility that the person is a representative of the appointer. In this case, a representative of two sets of people. Number one, the appointer. Number two, the appointing organization. So you must understand the difference between the presidency and Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria, the presidency belongs to Nigeria. The presidency acts on behalf of Nigeria. The presidency may be transient while Nigeria is relatively permanent. So you are acting on behalf of both a transient and a permanent principals. Meaning that irrespective of the disposition of the transient, the permanent must reflect on it. So what does that mean? Nigeria has its core values. Nigeria has what it stands for in the sub-region, in the continent, and on the global space. Nigeria has what it wants to market to the world and what it wants to buy from the world. That is clearly different from what the presidency wants. So the presidency may want advocacy, may want propaganda, may want issue-based item-by-item discussions. But that must not be lost and mustn't be taken independently of what the generality of the people are. So who is an ambassador? An ambassador is the representative of the country in another country, meaning that People who should be appointed to that office must be people whom the people of this country, in that country, have confidence in. Now, so confidence is rooted in trust. Trust is rooted in perception. And so when you are being made an ambassador, it means that you must be conscious, number one, you must have sufficient knowledge of who you are representing. Number two, have the temperament to handle the issues that will come from those you are representing in the country you are representing. For example, in the United Kingdom and the United States, you do know that what we do here, like corporal punishment, dragging your children, maybe a little dragging of the ear and all of those things, are not acceptable. So you now find most Nigerian parents losing their children in this country to social welfare. So when an ambassador gets there, you must understand the nuances of Nigeria and the nuances of the country you're going to, and have the mental, emotional, academic capability to manage these issues. So who are those people you're looking for? You're looking for people of good conduct and character. Character is critical. Now, even when you're applying for visas now, immediately you apply, they ask for your social media handles. They want to know what you have represented over a period. So if just a mere visitor's visa, in some instances, they give you just 1 week visa into their country. People want to be sure about what your views have been on critical issues. Have you supported violent crimes? Have you supported crimes in any way? Have you supported genocide? I mean, there are things that are there. So if that is just for the issuance of a week visa, and people are making, so every ambassador you screen, you qualify, and you appoint. The countries you're naming them to will have to Google their names. So just imagine, dear sister, when the names of some people are Googled, what Google pops up first on their names. So if you were in that country and you Google someone's name and you see that the first 20 stories that come up are either absolutely negative stories or controversial stories, and you now go to their timelines on social media and you see these people holding strong positions against a constituent part, some parts of their country, I mean, you just know that you're waiting for crisis. So the people who should be appointed should have the capacity to communicate, because communication is key. They should have the temperament, to represent both the appointer and the appointing organ. They should have the knowledge and emotional stability to manage the barrage of issues that will come to them. Remember that people say that if you go to any country in the world and you don't find a Nigerian, please leave, that place is not good. So it means that in every place you're going to go, you're going to find Nigerians there. And what are the issues you're going to be dealing with? You're going to be dealing with people who got there illegally, people who got there legally, people who have issues with the laws of the land, people who are trying to transit from being Nigerians to other people. So you need people who are mentally capable, emotionally stable, and character-wise upright.
Let me push you further, because according to your statement, which I read in detail, you described, words such as scandalous. You talked about containing integrity, deficient individuals, featuring people with notable anti-democratic background. So let's take this heads on. Who specifically on that list, makes you, the PDP, believe that the list is unfit for representing Nigeria abroad? Would you mind naming some people?
Yeah, that's fine. But, in the sphere where you are a professional, which is communication, we try not to reiterate the wrong, because there are some people who derive joy when you reiterate the wrong. So we would not dignify them by naming them. But immediately you put each of those adjectives, you begin to put names in it. But there was one we specifically objected to and drew him out completely, is the immediate past chairman of INEC. I mean, everything is rooted in confidence. And so if a gentleman who just left office less than 3 months ago is now being appointed as an ambassador, the perception may be, rightly or wrongly, that is a reward for delivering flawed elections, which all of us agreed are way below the average. You cannot compare the elections under the chairmanship of Mahmoud to even the elections under Jega. You can't. I mean, this is a gentleman who promised IREV, who promised a backup system, who made a lot of promises, but none of which, and I mean, he capitulated on them. So when you look at it, it is now looking as though it's a signal to the new chairman that, look, If you deliver elections to our satisfaction, then we give you appointments. We'll give you diplomatic immunity. I mean, there should be a period of cooling off, which is why even you see some vice chancellors finish as vice chancellors, they don't immediately go back to school. There is a period of cooling off for debriefing so that they come to the consciousness. Look, they begin to ask themselves, did I do so well there? What perception have I left down there? And so when you look at these appointments, especially that which we've mentioned in terms of Professor Mahmood, you're going to look at it again to say, I mean, is he the only qualified person there? Did he do so well at INEC so as to represent our country? And you'll be sending him to another democracy. And so did he do so well in our own democracy to help with democratic consolidation that he's now becoming the ambassador of the country to go to that place? And so when you look at it, and when you remember that the entire gamut of our electoral democracy rests on competition, that competition is moderated by INEC. When elections are involved, even the security is subject to INEC, meaning that INEC becomes the lead player in election management. So the outcome, whether they are going to talk about ad hoc staff, their permanent staff, all of those people become their agents. And like we say, qui faci per alium faci per se. He who does a thing through an agent does it by himself. So the entirety of the fact that you had disparity from what INEC posted on IREV and what they submitted, you had disparity with the fact that he went on sending his commissioners to say that, look, there was going to be a backup and there would be electronic transmission of results. And during the lawsuits that followed that, INEC capitulated from the earlier position. So when you match what INEC said before the election and what they said after the election, it looked as though there were two different people speaking. So characters like this must not be allowed to represent the totality of Nigeria. What we expected from Professor Mahmood is to do, maybe to begin to write a book so that we can understand. Remember that when 1993 elections were annulled and Professor Humphrey Nwosu left, he had to write a book to explain himself. Even IBB recently wrote a book to explain. What we need from Mahmood is to explain. It's an explanation. And without that explanation, we cannot.
But what exactly? I mean, during your line, I mean, IBB wrote a book and explained. What did that explanation do? What did it solve? And if Mahmood were to write a book, really, what would it solve? What would it change?
No, it provides deeper knowledge about the context that they found themselves. So when you read the book by Humphrey Nwosu and you now read the book by IBB, the unfortunate thing is that both books situate the blame on the man who has died. And we're wishing that Abacha were alive also to write a book and mention. Because now both of them have situated the blame on the fact that IBB said he was out in Katsina when he heard that the suspension of that the election has been annulled. And Humphrey Nwosu's account also paints that kind of picture. So, it wasn't my act, like lawyers would say, non-ex facto. He was acts beyond me. So Mahmood should be able to tell us what really happened in those elections. Why were the results posted on IREF different from that which INEC themselves tendered? He should give an account of his stewardship before he moves on to another. And after the account of stewardship, the general perception of people should be taken into account before this country can again send him to do something else.
Interesting.
I mean, it has nothing to do with his person. And I must situate this. It has nothing to do with his person, but it has everything to do with his official capacity as he executed at that time. He may be, if he was a good person and he's certain that he was a good and upright person who went into a system that overpowered him, then it is for him to say so. That is why he needs to write a book. So Mahmood should be allowed to write a book so that we distinguish whether the blame should go to Professor Mahmood as an individual or Professor Mahmood as the INEC chairman or INEC as an institution.
Okay. Interesting. Let me quickly ask, because I have 3 minutes before we go on our first break. There are a lot of people who think that, the PDP's position on this list is purely political, as usual, because they consider that you are playing your, part as the opposition and that you'd never see anything good with the APC government. What would you respond to the people who are saying that?
Cannot be partisan. I'm sure you've also listened to former diplomats, top-ranking ambassadors, you've listened to. When you do your analysis from your audience, even your audience analysis, I'm sure you also know that those people are not partisan. Our duty as the monoposition party is to mirror the society and to keep government in check. It is not true that we do not commend or acknowledge what government does. Yesterday, when news broke that the president had offered asylum and protection to the opposition candidate in Guinea-Bissau, we noted that, commended the president, but also asked that the president should do same here. He should not be viewed externally or present himself externally as a defender of democracy, while internally he's enabling acts that are anti-democratic. We commend. When the president, when the girls in Kebbi were either rescued, found, gathered, whatever the term is, we commended the process of at least bringing back the girls. Whether the girls brought themselves back, but at least we learned that the federal government has access to communicating with terrorists, and they now give instructions to them, and they respond positively. And so, having commended them for giving instructions and these children being released, rescued, gathered, found, returned, however it is, we also mentioned that they should write either in communication, like they said, either through phone call or email, however they should ask that the rest be released. Since we've now known that the federal government has information channels through to bandits, terrorists, and kidnappers, and they issue valid instructions, and those people. So we are still with it. So it is not true that we do not commend them. We do commend them, but we give them additional responsibility, because the truth is the primary role of every administration, of every government, is the protection of lives and property. And the question I can ask you is, do you feel safer today than you were 3 years ago? Do you feel safer today than you were in 2015, 2014? That is the question this administration is running away from. And so when we even go to the aspect of the economy, when they now say, oh, we've stabilized, what are you stabilizing? Stabilizing is a plateau. Now the question is, where are you, at what point is that plateau? Where were we before we got to a high and you decided to plateau?
Okay, we're going to go on a quick break. Lagos, if you're just joining us, the program is Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info, and we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Post your comments, your questions. My guest is the People's Democratic Party's National Publicity Secretary, and he joins us live via Zoom. When we come back from this quick break, we'll be talking more. Now, he's taken me to a place where I was hoping to leave for later, which is obviously the case of insecurity, but we will be back right after this break. My name is Maryann Okon. We'll be right back.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this.
So my husband's boss, Chief Odogu, came visiting, and I made ofen salad with Mr. Chef beef, all-purpose, and crayfish cubes, plus my 2-finger crush. Odogu, who doesn't eat out, even carried takeaway. Now you do this one, oh, Mr. Chef.
Savor the taste of culture with a 2-finger crush of Mr. Chef seasoning cubes. Available in chicken, beef, and all-purpose seasoning cubes. Mr. Chef, taste home, taste culture.
On Tuesday, the quarterfinals come to a close. At 4 p.m., Timmy Comprehensive College faces Heritage Group of Schools debating the motion. Environmental protection should take precedence over industrial expansion. At 5 p.m., Kings and Queens Zenith School meets Straight Gate High School on the motion. Globalization enriches rather than erases national culture. The stakes are high. The arguments will be fierce. I am Yvonne Okaifo. Join EmeObong Daniels and me on Tuesday as the strongest teams book their place in the semi-finals. I Beg to Differ Season 9. 32 schools, now 6. 1 winner, 5 million naira, 1 grand title, the champion of champions. Sponsored by GZ Industries, supported by Obi-Wizi, Multiplan Pathway College, and Finna Microfinance Bank. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
Coming soon, an unfiltered conversation with President of the Mighty Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Baba Njirzarma. What's true, what's misunderstood, and what must change? The unheard voices of Magban, only on Nigeria Info 99.3. Don't miss it.
Dear Lagosians, it's time we pay due attention to sustainable physical development planning. Our city grows daily and every one of us must help keep it orderly. When you see illegal construction, buildings without planning permits, large plots without approved layouts, or structures that violate approvals, say something. If open spaces meant for recreation or urban farming are being misused or buildings rise in wrong zones, near drains, or on road setbacks, say something. Whistleblowing isn't trouble. It's your civic duty. See something, say something. Report all physical planning infractions to the Lagos State Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development through the Office of Fiscal Planning or the nearest LASPA district office. Permit first, build next, build right, live safe. Zoning respected, Lagos protected.
This message is from the Lagos State Government, building right for a greater Lagos.
See something, say something.
Welcome to Nigeria Info, where the news sparks conversation.
The Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association has condemned the sanctions against them.
They are finished. We're like a sour soup waiting for someone to warm up. You have to wake up to the House of Assembly. You have to wake up to the House of Senate.
All this talk about voodoo is nonsense. If I had any authority, I'll fire
him. The football team is as bad as the economy of the country.
If you listen to both ends of the argument, whether it's the one where there is a genocide or the one where there's no genocide.
So ever since they have been saying they have been defeating and killing and the rest of them, it's like
what they are just interested in now is who is coming to their party, who is not coming to their party.
So what will we call this one now? Chibok 3.0?
This is your space to listen, share, and be heard. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Because understanding Nigeria starts with asking better questions. Hard facts on Nigeria Info, the nation's #1 talk, news, and sports radio station. Let's talk.
And yes, we're live, facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. Join the conversation. We still have the PDP spokesperson, EmeObong, who's also a lawyer, by the way. We're talking about the ambassadorial nominee list. It has obviously gotten so many reactions, including from the People's Democratic Party, and questions are begging for answers. Of course, we're also going to be talking about other matters arising, especially the elephant in the room, which is the latest rise in insecurity across the nation, what the federal government is doing about it, what should have been done, and what must be done as we speak. We've seen a couple of movements by the government, moves by the government. We saw we saw Mr. Nuhu Ribadu in a meeting yesterday with certain leaders, religious and tribal leaders, speaking about what they need to do moving forward to deal with this situation. But is it enough? Mr. EmeObong, thank you so much for joining us. I want to quickly, before we leave the diplomatic side of things, I want to quickly just talk about, our embassies outside of the country. There's several reports as to how bad some of them, the state of things, some of them are unable to pay, the rents for some of those places. So many Nigerians are saying it's not enough to just say we want ambassadors. What does our representation outside of this place look like? We've seen people post videos of how terrible the embassies look. We've even seen some embassies being sacked completely. I think in one of these francophone countries, we were asked to leave. What should the government be considering? If the PDP were in the shoes of the APC today, what would you be considering first before talking about, who makes the list? And of course, what we should be considering in terms of our trade relations and other kinds of diplomatic ties that we have with other countries?
Yeah, the first thing is that it speaks to the disposition of governance that the current APC-led federal government is running, because they have a budget. And if you look at that budget for 2024, 2025, you'd see that provisions are made for foreign missions. And so, like the people are saying, it's not just the appointment of ambassadors, it's about the dignity that they should carry. There are some countries, some Western countries, where the embassies and high commissions are unable to pay for the insurance of their vehicles. And you know that insurance, in fact, it's the key of vehicle usage outside this country. Mm-hmm. If you don't have an insurance, you can't drive. And so you now have ambassadors taking commercial vehicles to work. You have the charge the affairs, the people holding forth for diplomatic missions there going. So if they are invited, so for example, in Washington, if they are invited for a meeting and they arrived there in an Uber. Because how else do you expect them to arrive? They arrived there in an Uber. How does that confer legitimacy? How does it confer pride on them? Which is why that's why in this whole issue about insecurity, the embassy in the US was almost impotent because most of the congressmen wouldn't talk to the civil servants who are there. So we didn't have ambassadors. Now, so it speaks to the fact that, and the arguments that many have made, where is the 2025 budget? We're hearing that states are getting more money. In fact, the president himself has said he's giving states more money than they have ever had. Now, what he is not saying is that the federal government takes 52% more of the entire money and leaves the rest. So what is happening to the 52% the part of the federal government? That's the question we should ask. So how is that going into strategic planning? Because you're planning both internally and externally. You must have your internal politics, your internal economy strengthened to become the giant of Africa that we used to be. I don't know whether we are still, because like you said, if smaller countries are now able to challenge Nigeria, because I mean, even your diplomatic mission in their place is not funded. You're owing the rents, you're owing things, and you get into some of those embassies and high commissions. There are interactions among the diplomats. What respect do you garner internationally? So it speaks to the fact that there is lack of strategic planning by this administration. It looks as though it's a pick and choose. So if there are ministries that the president is very interested, okay, there's a pick and choose there. So if there are ministries like the FCT, remove them from the TSA, and so they can perform. So what happens to the other ministries? You now find that you seldom find ministers even agreeing to grant interviews, because what have they done? You find out that those ministries, I was at an event, a high-level event the other time, and a very senior Nigerian said, look, we now go, okay, it was on air, said we go to ministries and we can't even find them. It looks as though everything has gone dead. And the ministries are the foundation upon which administrations are administered. So if the ministries are weak, so for example, go to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, even go to their headquarters here, and you see the sorry state of things there. So the question is, what is the level of funds, strategic planning that deploys funds to these ministries? We need to ask that.
Great. Let's talk about security before I open up the phone lines, because there's so many people sending questions and asking. In fact, some of them are already saying that you should not face the list and face the problem in your party, but we'll get to that. Let's a recent security report tracking July 2024 to June 2025 recorded over 4,700 people abducted in nearly 1,000 incidents across the country. In April alone, another incident, independent assessment, documented 570 killings and nearly 300 kidnappings nationwide. And this comes shortly after the US designated us as a country of, a particular concern. A designation often linked to human rights and, other kinds of insecurity concerns. Given all of this, how does the PDP assess the government's foreign policy posture right now? I mean, because one would think that if we had dealt with this issue front and center, maybe we would not have the likes of the US pointing fingers at us if we were doing the right thing. But then, is Nigeria still presenting from a strength position, or are we being vulnerable right now because we have the likes of Trump after us?
Yeah, I mean, the answer lies even in the question, because if we're doing what we should have done, what we ought to have done, what we should have been doing, then we won't have people dictating from outside. And you've seen that immediately President Trump said something. You saw immediately responses. You saw now the military victories being announced and things. So it now looks as though we're waiting for an external force to point us in the direction that we should go. Remember that the issues that led to this are not just issues that have happened. You've real statistics in the past 1 year. That pales into insignificance if you just backtrack. If you draw the back line of that, your statistics to get into 3 years. If you draw it to get into the administrations that have been under the APC, then you begin to see a fuller picture of progressive increase in the rate of insecurity in our country, almost everywhere. Never did we have local government chairmen, House of Assembly members, elected government officials standing side by side and negotiating with bandits or terrorists or kidnappers or what you call them. And these people show up. I mean, so when you see a picture of an unarmed elected official with 60 to 70 well-armed people, what does that show you? Who is in charge there? And they come with arms. So when you see pictures of government and the bandits, if you didn't know any of the people and you were asked who is in charge, that answers the question. Because the pictures that are coming out do not show government strong enough or speaking from a point of strength. It shows them, the optics show that government is kowtowing, which is why we issued a statement asking whether the president has surrendered to terrorists, whether he has surrendered to bandits, because it looks as though they're now said. So you remember that there was a video of the kids before they were released asking, when the terrorists were asking, have we molested you? They said no. Have we done anything to you? Have we fed you well? They said yes. They said, look, we are waiting. We are going to release you now because our terms have been met. And again, remember that the National Bureau of Statistics said that the kidnap industry in Nigeria, kidnap terrorism, banditry industry, is a trillion economy industry, meaning that who is paying? If government says they are not paying ransom, and even individuals say they are not paying, so who is paying the ransom that has in the last 1 year amounted to trillions? So with the amount involved, it is therefore not difficult to see how to understand how they come in contact with superior weaponry. With the amount involved, it is no longer difficult to see why many young people are gravitating towards that side, because there is funding there. And so when you look at it, this is not an issue for a political party. For those who are talking about political parties, let me tell you clearly, the issue is that of existential threats. When insecurity comes, it knows no political party.
But Mr. EmeObong, there are those who are pointing fingers at the PDP that if the PDP had handled this issue better under the Jonathan administration, probably would not have had it worse under the Buhari administration. I'd really love to hear what you want to say about this one.
If you put a point on that and you ask yourself, because newspaper cuttings and video evidence exist as to those who made a hell of noise and prevented us having access to the weaponry we needed to finish this war. Today they are in power. Today they are in power. The same people who said that attacking Boko Haram was against human rights, the same people who made petitions to the United States to prevent Jonathan having access to the weapons that were needed to clean this war, the same people who reported when even Jonathan tried to use the back door to buy weapons to clear this war, are the people today. It's like feeding a monster. When you feed a monster, you end in the belly of the monster. So that is why we have no pity for them. They came on looking for this job at the time. When Jonathan rose to this job, these things were not like this. And at the time he left, he fought them squarely. But when you are thrown into a ring, a boxing ring, and your hands are handcuffed, and you have an enemy that has a hands as many as an octopus, punching you from all sides. That was what they did to Jonathan. They clipped his hands, unable to make him have access to the weaponry required for that period. We're not being sold to Kano jets. We're not being sold weaponry. We even tried to buy weaponry. They still linked the process. And at the end, we sat here because they wanted power. The demand for power at every cost will cost the life of society. And today, blood is flowing like a tap whose control is broken. It's flowing unceasingly. So what we are saying is that forget the issue of political parties. Look, the crisis in opposition political parties are curated and intended to keep the opposition parties looking inward so that they can allow government to continue with a lackluster performance. Let me tell them, if every other opposition party succumbs to that, the PDP is smarter enough. We are fighting inwards, but we are fighting upwards. The whole essence of opposition is to keep government in check. So if you think that the sponsored crisis in PDP will keep us talking internally all the time, we are handling our internal issues. But even if you say that, PDP, we can speak as individuals, we can speak as concerned Nigerians. The person who is asking that question, if faced with insecurity, will not remember which political party that person belongs to. At the end of the day, if this country works, it works for everyone. It doesn't work for the APC only. It doesn't work for the PDP. So those people should thank us who continually continually amounting pressure to demand better governance from government.
Okay, Lagos, I know that you're itching to join the conversation. EmeObong is the spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party nationally. You could join the conversation. He joins us live from the FCT. 0201-277-0993, 0201-465-7190. You could join the conversation on WhatsApp if you are listening from outside of the country. It's 08095975805. On WhatsApp, you can send us a message if you are listening from Nigeria. But on Facebook and YouTube, you can also post your comments on our live stream. We'd like to hear from you. 30 seconds. Go straight to the point, please. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes.
This PDP people.
What's your name and where are you calling
like,
from? What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Okoko. Okoko, Michael.
30
Lagos.
seconds. What's your question? Quickly.
I said this APC people, they be like people who go wrong, enter inside bush, go knock something, come outside, begin to ask who they knock. They are the cause of the problem in Nigeria today. So let them face what they are cause. They are cause of the problem we have in Nigeria today. All the APC, from down to up.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. 0201-277-0993. Unfortunately, the ladies' line is down. So 0201-277-0993. That's the number everyone can call. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, Maryann. Peter Bon from Shangotedo.
30 seconds. Go ahead.
I know that you're discussing the diplomatic and the secret, but I want to go this way. I want to ask your guest this way. Being a PDP, with the defection in the party, political party now, does PDP have a clear chance, a clear call for 2027, knowing that the APC has failed Nigeria and Nigerians will want to turn to PDP? What is the way out? Good afternoon, Maryann. Good afternoon to your guest.
All right. I'll just also want to add that you just lost another governor. What is really the hope there for you in the PDP?
Which we are very well aware of and we're fighting, and that's why all our matters are in the Court of Appeal, and we're praying for an expedited hearing of the matter so that we can get back on track. You know, it's a different thing, like Jonathan said, that it's easy to wake a person who is asleep, but it's very difficult to wake a person who is pretending to be asleep, because even if you carry the person, open the eye completely, the person says, look, I'm sleeping. And so the problem in PDP is clearly between a clear majority who wants the party to do what an opposition party should do, and a slant minority, very slim minority, who are more interested in destroying the party so that they can give the president an easy passage back to the villa. So what Nigerians need to do, which is why we are now beginning to talk across all the opposition parties. It is not a coincidence that you have problems in Labour, you have problems in ADC recently, because Atiku Abubakar and El Rufai, when you now see people coming up to say, no, I mean, you're seeing that. So it's not a coincidence that all the opposition parties are having issues. We are looking beyond the divides of opposition, and we are coming together as an opposition force against the government. So we are looking beyond the different proclivities of saying, oh, this is PDP, this is that. That is not in the realm of a political coalition. No, it's in the realm to defend democracy. Because until democracy is defended, the voices of the common people will not be heard, number one. Number two, and better governance will not be undertaken. Remember, in this same country, that a president has issued amnesty, signed and even read it, amnesty, and set people free, executing the prerogative of mercy. It took the shouts of people. Imagine that people were not shouting. So when people, and we cannot be shouting just alone on political lines. When these things happen, if all of those people were allowed back to society, I'm not certain whether the people would have killed and the morale that would have dampened the security will have anything to do with politics. Okay. But we must come to the point where individually we oppose the bad parts and bad execution of government policies to the point where when we come together, we can have a simple majority that can defeat what is happening here. So to answer that question is the fact that keep staying with your values, don't be bowed, don't be subdued. As we progress, by next year, we're going to have a clear direction. And what the president doesn't understand is that with fighting all the opposition parties, you're simply giving room for the leaders of the opposition not to see themselves as enemies, but to see themselves as a collective and to face a common adversary.
Interesting. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good afternoon, Emilia.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm speaking to you from Ekwe.
30 seconds.
First, I want to appreciate the spokesperson of the PDP. He's doing well. He said something closer to answering my question. But if push comes to shove, will the PDP support a candidate from another party? For instance, when it's not certain, if there will be candidates in PDP. That is my question.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take another quick question and then I'll allow Mr. EmeObong to respond. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good afternoon, Maryann.
Yes, good afternoon.
My name is Prince Wires, calling you from my mother.
30 seconds.
Now, as it is now to your guests in the studio, it's better for them to make sure they have a candidate come 2027. The way it is in PDP now, the 20 of us don't think they have a party. Everybody is leaving the party. You never move your house, see your thing that is linking before you talk of another party. Right now, it's a pity. PDP find themselves in this situation.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. I want to take another call. I need questions. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts. Hello. Please call me back. Apologies. I think that you are in a terrible place and I cannot hear you. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi, Maryann. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
To you and your guest, anyway, just so your guest knows, I want to unapologetically say that it is their party that have put us all in this mess we found ourselves today. And I don't know how they're going to come back from that position. But my question for him this evening is, at what point, because I've heard a whole lot of things he has said this afternoon, at what point in this country will we stop giving political appointments to party faithfuls and loyalists because of self-aggrandizement purposes? Must we continually politicize and propagandize every position, even to the ambassadorial one?
All right.
All because we are giving them to mediocres who have failed in their
Thank
field
you very
of
much for
service.
calling. I think you're asking the wrong guy the question because he's not a member of the ABC. But Mr. EmeObong, please respond. You have two questions.
Okay, so let me start by my sister. I feel the anger and I feel the energy. Truth is that when we generalize to say PDP put us here, what you simply mean is that PDP was a responsible enough party to have allowed an opposition party to win, because it's strange. So it means that, so I agree when you say that we put you there, because we should have insisted, we should have manipulated. Probably we could have done the Guinea-Bissau strategy or the Senegal strategy, but we warned. The truth is that we had warned that an assemblage of these strange bedfellows who need only one thing, which is power. Remember when we said, oh, so person didn't have certificate, they say even if it's NEPA bill. We said so person didn't have integrity, they said don't worry, we don't need integrity. So the people who voted set the ball rolling in where we got here. But yes, if PDP, by allowing credible elections, by setting up a machinery that allowed introducing a lot of electronic reforms that allowed the opposition to win and allowing the opposition to take over, if that is what you mean, then no problem. But that is what politics should be. If people make their choices, then you must allow them to face it. Now, but going over to the other part, I agree with you that public offices should not be limited to partisan politics. Now, but does it mean that we don't have good people of character in politics? So the key element must be character, knowledge, expertise. So whether they're in politics or not won't matter. And if you check, the problem with the ambassadorial list is not because they are in APC. No, where people are speaking to character. So people speak about characterless people who double in double speak, people who major in double speak, and the rest. So it's about the character and the expertise of the people. And speaking about whether PDP will field candidates, categorical YES, yes, PDP will field candidates in all. In fact, the battle we are currently battling is the battle of fielding candidates. If we had agreed to make deals with people that were going to field the presidential candidate, PDP will have no problems. But we are willing and ready to battle, and I'm certain that by Q1 next year, or even earlier than that, that all of these battles should have come to an end, and the PDP will field candidates. Now, the idea, which is why some people like in Osun State today, the governor has left, we sympathize with him. I mean, but this is a battle that should have taken place a long time ago. You see, when you continue to feed a monster, you simply postpone doomsday. And what we've noticed with monsters is that at the end, the feeder of the monster becomes the feed of the monster. It's just the removal of ER. If His Excellency Adeleke and the rest had started this battle, this definitive battle, many years, 2 years ago, today PDP would not have been in a fix as to whether what we would be doing or what. But now the question is, must we continue wrong for grace to abound? And we are saying no. We are taking a hard position to say that we'll stand on the path of legality, we'll stand on the path of political strength, and we'll do the role of what an opposition party should do. And that is why today we'll field candidates. Today in Osun, a state congress to elect the governorship candidate has just been concluded, and Adebayo Adedamola has won. We are going to field candidates. We fielded candidates in Anambra, in Ekiti. We have candidates. We are going to field candidates in all. Make no mistakes. We are Nigeria's leading opposition party, and will provide leadership for other opposition parties so that we can give direction and hold the government to account and see how we can better the lives of Nigerians. So will we support another political party? The question, if we are fielding candidates, then we can be supporting another. But what we are doing is to lead a responsible opposition. It's not a dog-eat-dog opposition. We would not allow ourselves to be used against each other by the government in power. That is what we are saying, and that is the path that we are towing.
In 1 minute, because that's all the time. In fact, in 40 seconds, what's the difference between and this is me echoing the thoughts of my listeners, the difference between the PDP and the APC, because you guys keep crisscrossing back and forth. There is no clear-cut ideology. You're just fighting, in quotes, for power. So what's the difference?
The difference is that PDP is the only party that started in 1998, which is still here. And the foundational ideology of PDP was to build a pan-Nigerian party. It wasn't an emergency assemblage of politicians who were aimed at just grabbing power. No, it was an intentional organization of people who made sure that the ills that brought the first and second republics to its knees, which was ethnicism, which was high-handedness, which was the fact that political parties tended to be owned by a section of the country, was not replicated in the Fourth Republic. So PDP's founding ideals, which is based on elite consensus, which is based on progressive capitalism, which is based on making sure that the people, which is why you hear our motto is power to the people. That's our slogan, power to the people, which is the fact that the voices of the people must be heard not from top to down, but from down up. So an aggregation of, though we have stratification in life, but we are saying that everybody has his voice. And in PDP, the truth is that the majority will have their way, but the minority must have their say. So that is the difference, a clear-cut difference. We are not an assemblage of people just got together to say, no, look, let's use propaganda, let's use violence, let's use this to take over power. We intentionally started clearly from the G34 through the progressive meeting of minds, conclusively, to get to a point where we said, look, let's form a political association that will metamorphose into a political party that will be pan-Nigerian in this position. Until today, there is absolutely no part of this country you go to and you can't find PDP.
Miss EmeObong, just stay with us for a minute. We'll be right back, and then we'll say our goodbye. Stay with us, Lagos. We'll be right back after this break.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
Wait till you fit take 200 naira run, eh? Hey, you go fit enjoy plenty of bonge flavors demo with the new Mr. Chef's Smalley Seasoning Cubes pack with just 200 naira pereo. E dey for beef, chicken, mixed spices, all purpose and crayfish flavors them. Chicken money, plenty enjoyment every day with Mr. Chef's Smalley pack. Mr. Chef, taste home, taste culture.
Are you finding it difficult listening to your favorite talk radio Nigeria info via the mobile app? Come closer. Let me fix that for you. Now launch the app on your device. Click the 3 lines on the top left corner of the app. Look for settings in the drop-down menu and click on it. Turn on the first option that you see. Make sure you turn on the option that says always use highest quality available audio. Now that you have done that, close the app and relaunch it. Voila! I did it! Oh, sorry, you did it. Now you can enjoy your radio anywhere, anytime. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
The biggest food festival on the African continent is back. It's the Chitiko Food and Drink Festival, wait for it, Holiday Edition. That's right. On Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st December 2025 at the GT Center, Plot 1 Water Corporation Drive, Oniru, Victoria Island, Lagos, the GTCO Food and Drink Festival returns for a special holiday edition. Think mouth-watering street food, retail stores, exclusive chef demonstrations, and master classes. And for the kids, a magical holiday wonderland. The GTCO Food and Drink Festival is for everyone. Your holiday experience starts here and attendance is free. After all, what's a holiday without good food? Don't miss the holiday edition of the GTCO Food and Drink Festival on Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st December at Plot 1 Water Corporation Drive, Oniru, Victoria Island, Lagos. The GTCO Food and Drink Festival, supporting small businesses and promoting enterprise. 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
All right, we're about to say our goodbyes, but before we go, there's a message I want to quickly read off of our YouTube live feed. Anyekan Joseph here says, this is a leadership capacity issue, and that must continue to be the focus. What is the PDP doing to ensure competent leaders are positioned and emerge at the party level? This is another question that everyone's asking, and we have just 1 minute. Who are the people that you want to, filled in these positions, because it looks like all the big wigs or the people they think are competent have left the party in 60 seconds.
It's not true. The fact that we're a people-based party, and remember that this party has made people, it hasn't lost its capacity to manufacture, for want of a better word, to manufacture, to produce people. So we're in the process of producing new people. And when you look at it, the fact that people experience most times has been the greatest enemy of innovation. So the many young people in this country who have capacity, who have tact, who have wisdom, who have integrity, will also be produced like we produce the other people. The people who have left maybe are done with us. We've produced them. They've gotten to their limits. And you know what it says about Peter Principle when you promote people beyond their capacity. So some of the people we promoted previously, maybe they've gone to the zenith of their career. It's now time for us to produce new people. You may even be one of those people.
Very funny. EmeObong is the spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party at the national level. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule to join us on the show. We appreciate it. Do come again soon.
Sure, thank you.
All right, Lagos, that's the show. I want to thank you all for being part of the conversation. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO. Up next is I Beg to Differ Season 9. Of course, it's the quarterfinals. Don't forget to join us live on all our social media handles as the debate goes on. I'll be back tomorrow with a full show from 3 to 6 p.m. I'm Maryann Okon, thanking you for being part of the conversation.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.